about making face masks. There's so many out there, but I particularly love this one for my toddler. He's 3 years old and is required to wear his face mask for preschool. Here I will link below the pattern that I'm using. I really like it because I have a way that I adjusted it so I can adjust to his size. Alright, and here I am just using hair ties for the ear loops. One, because the 1/4 inch elastic I find is really harsh, and these are just a lot softer and a lot easier to find. Nothing is more fun than having lots of different patterns, so these are just a couple of patterns that I'll be making today. Want to make sure to line up your pattern. If you have a more specific pattern, you might want to be careful with how you're cutting it. And this one just has dogs going in all directions, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, the next part, we're just going to cut out 2 pieces just like the first one. Now this is a slightly smaller section, and we are doing that so we can leave a gap for a filter. If you're not wanting a filter, then you can just follow the first pattern and just make sure there are 4 pieces instead of 2. Alright, now that we have all of our pieces cut out, I am just using my serger to seal up the mouth area. So I already have right sides together, and I'm just sealing that folding point. Now if you don't have a serger, of course you can do this with a sewing machine. I'm just in love with my serger at the moment and will do anything and everything I can with it. That all of the folding section right down the middle of your mouth has been done, I am just finishing the edges on the corner of my pieces. Now this isn't absolutely necessary, I just find it really nice, especially with the serger. So I'm going ahead and doing this. If you aren't and you are wanting to do the filter piece, then you do need to somehow finish your edge, either by doing a zigzag, an overlock, or just kind of folding it over. It's kind of up to you. Alright, now that all of our pieces have been separated, we are just going to kind of open them up a little bit and put the right sides together. So you want to make sure those seams that we just did are on the outside of both of the patterns, and then just make sure it lines up really nicely, and then we are going to sew them together all around the edge here. And of course you can do this with a serger or a sewing machine. Striped pattern one, I decided not to do the filter slot, so I just did the first pattern and made sure to make 4 of them. Just put them together. It's super easy to do with a sewing machine rather than a serger. I find the serger a little bit faster though, so highly recommend it if you have one. You can see the one lying down is kind of the gray and yellow one, and that one has the filter slot. And I'll show you how I'm attaching the elastics now. So here you just put the elastic band over and you can just sew that closed, especially since I already serged the edge. Or if you want to be a little bit more creative or have a little bit more of a finished edge, or you want to hide raw edges, then just kind of tuck those in and then put the elastic around, fold it over, and then you'll just sew a straight line on the edge. So that's how you'll do it with the one without a filter. If you do have the one with a filter, you just throw it around the edge and then you'll kind of just fold it in. This is the part where you can adjust to the size of your child's mouth. If they're really small like my 3-year-old is, I end up folding the pattern all the way to the white filter mark for him. But if they're older, then you can fold it back. You can double fold it. There's kind of a couple different ways that you can seal it in that way. Alright, now it is time to sew and finish these up. Here I have my little puppy pattern one. Now, of course, if you're not going to use the filter, you could just sew it right at that edge right there. But of course, why make a filtered one if you're not going to use that option? So I'm just pulling that piece of the fabric back and then sewing it closed, so I'm at least hiding one of my edges. And there it is, the puppy dog face mask is complete, and you can just see it's just a slight stitching on the side. And with this one complete, you can see that the stitching is hidden a little bit further away from the face. It all really just comes down to size, but these are two different options on how to do the face mask, and they turned out awesome. I especially love the dinosaur one. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them below, and don't forget to check in the description box for the link to the pattern.